Hey everybody, welcome to the fast button tutorial of the 2022 Toyota Tacoma. This is the TRD Sport variant, but this will actually apply to most Tacomas, especially if you also have a TRD off-road. So what we'll do is we'll typically start from left to right, then we'll work our way down to the shifter and move our way up top, and then we'll finish the video. Be sure to use the video speed if I'm going a little too fast to slow the video down, and pause it if you want to go over something again. But with that said, let's begin. So, starting with the door card, since this is an access cab, I have auto down and auto up on both windows. This button here will lock the windows so that you can't open the windows. And then I have my door locks for the front two doors, and it's actually going to be the lock in the front with the two little nubbies, which is going to be the same as the key fob. So without looking, you can just touch and you can feel the two little nubs. The mirror adjustment simply works by twisting to the L, so you can toggle the left mirror like so, going to the R so you can toggle the right mirror, and then putting in neutral so that if you hit this on accident, it doesn't adjust either mirror. Down by the seats, I have a forward, back, up and down lever with an electronic assist for my recline and a separate button to give me lumbar support for the lower part of the cushion. The floor mats lock right into the floor, so if we get close, you'll see the arrows line up when it's locked. But if you twist it like this, you can take the floor mat out. Just make sure you remember to lock both back in. I have the lever for the hood and a separate button to set my tire pressure. So say I'm going to do a little off-roading, or I'm going to go in the sand, or I prefer a little bit lower pressure for the terrain I'm on, but I don't want that warning light to be on. I can set it there. I believe this is also related to setting the new sensors when you get them installed in the truck, but I could be wrong. I'm learning every day. Moving up above that, next to the steering wheel, I have a button to turn off my track control if I want full power to the wheels. Great for if you're going off-road and you don't want the system slowing down your wheel power. A separate button to turn on the auto high beam feature. So when I have the auto lights on, this will activate the auto high beams, and then I have the separation for the inverter, which is in the back in the bed. It'll show me what power source I'm using. If you're going to use a higher power accessory, make sure the engine is on. On the bottom of the steering wheel, there's a little lock thing that I can pull down here, a little lever, and I can lower or raise the steering wheel and telescope it and lock it back into place like so. With the key fob in my pocket, I can actually lock the truck by simply doing this, and you'll hear it beep and lock. And to unlock it, it'll unlock my door. You can program it to unlock both doors, but it does this as a security mechanism. If you do it from the passenger side, it will unlock both doors. If you leave the key fob in the truck for some reason, and you try to lock it from either the inside or the outside, it will unlock the doors and you'll be able to hear it, and on the screen it will say, "Key detected in vehicle." With the key fob on you, all you have to do is press the brake and the push start button, and the truck will start right up. You don't need the brake to turn the truck off. You just simply push the button to turn the truck off. Before we dive into the steering wheel, we'll start with the two stalks up top. The first stalk over here has the full operation of the lights. If I want to ride with all the lights off, I can put it as DRL off, which will give me no daytime running lights. If I go into auto, there's a little sensor on the dashboard that will sense when I'm in a tunnel or when it's nighttime, and it will kick in all of the interior lights, tail lights, and activate the auto high beams, which is what I suggest you leave it on. The next will be parking lights. This is designed so that you can be seen at a distance if you're on the side of a road like a busy city, and it makes it easier for people driving by to identify you. And also, if you just want to park at night and need to see those buttons on the inside light up, to which they will all light up a nice light blue. And then this is the old school way to do your headlights. If you just want to manually override it and you don't want to be bothered with any of this stuff, you can just manually override it like this and do it the way it used to be. When the headlights are on, you can operate the fog lights like so. That's the on and that's the off, which will be signified by the symbol on the top left. The fog lights are there, now they're off. The little light bulb here just means that the headlights are on. That's because I have them on, but when you put it in auto, you won't see that during the day, because your daytime running lights are on, but your entire light system is not on. The stalk on the right is going to be the wiper blades. You only have two wiper blades in the front, you don't have any in the back, so it's a super simple stalk here. If you click down once for intermittent, you can change how often it goes with the ring, which is convenient for the rain. If you click it down again, it constantly goes at a slow speed. If you click it down a third time, it's going to go at a much faster speed for very heavy rain. The steering wheel is a very simple old school design that you've seen in Toyota trucks for many years, and people love it because it's super simple to memorize and it's very easy to use. On the left side of the steering wheel, I have the up and down for the songs and side to side for the song volume. I can also change the volume to a phone call if I'm on a phone call. Now, some people say that this gets a little confusing. I am the owner of a Tacoma. You will get used to it. In fact, you'll get used to this so much that when you go in other cars, you'll start doing this to change your songs, and it's actually going to change the volume. There is continuity because when you get in a Highlander or you get in a Corolla, the music is also side to side down here. So you'll be fine with this. Nice big button, easy to use. This button here is for voice commands, but it also activates Siri if you're plugged into Apple CarPlay. If you push it once real quick, the screen will actually initialize, and in the Toyota system voice, it'll prompt you to make a phone call or command the truck to do something basic. If you press and hold for 3 seconds when plugged in with your iPhone, it's actually going to show you the Siri orb right on the screen, and you can command Siri to do a couple basic items like call or navigate. The mode button will go through AM, FM, Bluetooth, Sirius, etc. on the music, but if you press and hold it, it's actually going to mute the music and pause it. Down below you have the answering button and hang up button. In some Toyotas it's just one button for both, but you still get a dedicated button for answering a call or hanging up a call. Remember, if you're on the phone, you can also end the call or answer the call right here. So if somebody's calling through, it's going to show you on the screen, the music will turn off, and you have the choice to either answer it from here, or you can have your passenger answer it and talk to the person while you drive. On to the right side of the steering wheel, we have some buttons and a stalk. So starting with the buttons, these 4 arrows will navigate the MID, which is your multi-information display right up top. When you go side to side, it's going to go through some menus, which the MID is coming up next. You can also go up and down on those menus, and you can select an item. Some items you have to press and hold to actually initialize it, and then there's your back button. So these all work the MID. This button, when you press and hold, will actually prompt you to customize the screen and save it as a favorite, which you can do. I'm going to skip that for now. And then down below, we have one button that operates with the cruise control and one button that does not. Well, semi. I will start with this one. This is your lane departure alert. The truck will beep at you when you're going out of your lane, but it will not steer you back in your lane. That's only on the cars and SUVs. This button will change the distance following to the radar cruise control. To set the radar cruise control, all you have to do is push in the button. It's going to say radar ready on the MID, and we're not driving now, but once you push this down, see the down arrow where it says set, you push that down and it's going to set it. Then you can increase your speed like so, which is the little plus symbol. You can decrease your speed like that, and on the MID it's going to show you the speed that it had it set to, and I can turn it off like this or press the brake to cancel. Now you see this little symbol with the car and the arrow on the right? That represents the dynamic radar cruise control. And now finally they're showing hold to go to normal cruise control. So if we zoom in a little more, the arrow on the right with the car symbolizes the cruise control that's going to brake on its own and match the vehicle's speed. The symbol on the left with no car and the arrow on the left is your regular old school cruise control that will plow through anything. God forbid you're not paying attention. So you have the option for the new one and improved or the old school. So I'll show you. When I push this button once, I get the little car symbol here. Let me turn it off, and if I push and hold, there's the old school. So you have the choice between the two, and that's all done by pushing in or pushing and holding this button here. That's everything on the steering wheel. Next up, let's do the speedometer cluster and then the MID. On the Speedo Cluster to the very left, I want to start with the stalk. So you have a stalk here that will go through your mileage. So there's your odometer, trip, which you press and hold it again to clear, trip B, which I can press and hold to clear, and then nothing. Say I'm not worried about my mileage. Maybe I have 800K and I don't want to show it off yet, or my odometer right there. My RPMs are here so I can see what the transmission is doing. And then I have my engine temperature, so I know if it's running a little hot or cold, or if I'm waiting until it's at operating temperature to do something. I have the gasoline level with a little arrow to remind me what side my non-locking gas cap is on. Aftermarket options for the cap are available. And an analog readout for the speed. So you'll see it's a very simple design, it's easy to read, and in the center we have the MID. And like I said before, you'll be using the arrows on the right side of the steering wheel to go left and right through the menus and up and down through the pages. So let's go to the beginning. The I menu, that stands for information. You'll see the little scroll bar. I can use the down arrows on the steering wheel, the little down symbols, to go through the different pages. So here's the digital speed and distance to empty. Also my tank average, which you'll see go up as you drive. And there's a little blue bar that represents your throttle, so you can see what your throttle is doing and how much gas economy you will get with how far you're pressing the pedal. A nice overview of the trip, so it shows me how long I've driven and how long the time since I started it was. And then if it senses I've been swaying, like I'm tired driving, it'll actually beep at me really loud and remind me to take a break. Back to the beginning. If I go over again, I have a couple views here of the safety systems, like my cruise control and my lane departure alert, my individual tire pressures, and that's about it. The message menu is going to store messages like if I need service or if it senses something is wrong. And then I have the settings for my pre-collision system, my lane departure alert, and a couple other things. I have to press once for this, and I can turn it on and off like so. On some Toyotas, it makes you press and hold, but on this one, it doesn't. I do suggest leaving it on at least in middle sensitivity, because if you're about to hit something and you're plugging in your phone and you're just not looking at that moment, the truck could stop. But say you're doing a lot of off-roading and you don't want this thing sensing things that you're flying up onto, like a bush that you're going to drive by, you can turn it off right here. And I hit the back button. Lane departure alert beeps when I'm going out of my lane, so I can change its sensitivity. I can turn the sway warning on and off, and I can change the sensitivity to the sway warning. See the coffee cup? That's the symbol for sway warning. Sway warning is just a system that is kind of trying to save your life because it thinks you're driving sleepily. Down to settings here. I can customize my language, my units, and set a couple different parameters for different drivers. The pop-up color display. So you can totally customize different things, like your color and what it shows, the brightness, maintenance reset. So say you want to turn off that maintenance light because you did maintenance at the house, you can do that there, and you can go back to default. And then if I go to the right again, it goes back to the beginning. Also on the MID on the top, it'll show you the outside temperature. Pretty accurate, but if it's been baking in the sun, you got to give it a few minutes once you're driving to have a more accurate readout. And then you have what gear you're in, and then your miles. So if I put it into reverse, it shows me the R right there and a symbol that I shifted. If I go down to here, it shows me D, and if I slide over one, I can toggle and shift just like that. And that's in a forward back motion, and then down. So say you want to rev match, you know, you want to do 2,000 RPMs in second gear up a snowy hill and four-wheel low, you can do that there. And it's nice because you don't have to look down at the shifter anymore because you know exactly what's going on. Speaking of the shifter, it's just like in the picture. Let me get the lighting right. It's over and down one for reverse. You'll get the hang of it. If I can do it, anybody can. Down one again for neutral, which you'll use for the 4 low. Down again for drive. Over for the sport shifting. Speaking of neutral for 4 low, next to the engine start-stop button to turn the engine on and off, I have the 4-wheel drive. I can put it into 4 high by simply turning it, and I can do it while driving. The saying is 4 high on the fly, which means while moving, and then 4 low, take it slow, because 4 low you can't go fast. In 4 low, to get into it, you got to come to a stop. You got to put it into neutral, and then you can do a push and turn, like that. When you're done using 4 low, you want to go back into neutral, and then what you want to do is put it back into 4 high like this. And then you can put it in whatever gear you want, and you don't need neutral to get out of 4 high. 4 high I'd recommend no faster than about 50 miles per hour, and at that rate, if you're going that fast, you don't need it anyway. And you know, you don't want to wind up the transmission that bad. And also 4-wheel drive you don't want to use on dry pavement or any terrain that doesn't have any slippage, because you're pretty much locked in. And what I mean by that is all 4 wheels are traveling at the same speed. So if you turn, you can have what's called engine binding, and it's going to skid and it's going to jump and chirp, and it's not good for the truck, so don't do that. Only use your 4-wheel drive when you're on gravel trails, dirt trails, mud, sand, mogul, rock, all that great stuff. Back in park we go. Toyota does recommend in the book that when you come to a stop, Use the parking brake 90% of the time unless you've just driven in water and it's very cold outside. So I do recommend using your parking brake as much as you can because it keeps the parking brake alive. And to release the parking brake, you just push the brake, give it a slight lift, and hold the button down to the bottom. To get technical, Toyota actually recommends before putting it in park. So say I just pulled into my spot, pull it up, then put it into park and take your foot off the brake. Toyota says that's the proper way to do it, so that's the way I do it. Just real quick, I have my storage back here. I can plug in my USB B or C. These do not operate the Apple CarPlay. They only operate charging. For the Apple CarPlay, I'm going right here. And like I said, Apple CarPlay or Android Auto will project your phone's screen onto here so you can use whatever navigation or apps. Almost all of your apps can be used right on there. Certain things are not allowed to be used while you're in drive or reverse. ECT power mode. So now we're on the buttons by the shifter. The ECT power mode. There's a weird Japanese to English translation. The book will say for more positive feelings. So if you need more positive feelings, push this and you won't have any more negative feelings. What I think it is I think it's like a power mode, because when I push this, the transmission kind of revs out a little bit more. But I don't know, if you're ever having a gloomy day and you just need some positive feelings, give that a push. And you're on the rainbow ride into better times. Next to that, you'll see a little Q symbol. That's your Qi wireless charging. When you push this, your smartphone will have to lay flat like that. If it's not compatible, it just won't charge. It just straight up won't charge. Some phones' cases are too thick, so what you'll do is you'll get a little orange light here letting you know that it's about to charge, and then green once it's charging. So you can see at a glance on these two little LEDs what's going on. If it starts blinking, it means it's having a hard time sensing it. But there's more information about that in the book. Of course, I still have the old school 12 volt, which is pretty cool. What do you think, guys? Is that going to get phased out? Next up, climate control. So for the climate control, I have the dual zone passenger and driver temperatures. So I have this little light up blue screen here. Now if I turn this one when they're synced, it does the whole truck. But if I turn the right one, it'll do the passenger. I can synchronize it and change the whole truck like this. Now, every lever or knob is by its symbol. The mode, and I like how they have these little nubbies here so you can feel, the mode will change your air direction. This will put it in auto, so it's more like a house thermostat. I'm not a fan of the auto, so I'm gonna go ahead and reset that. And then there's your sync. Your front defrost is here for the windshield. This turns the system off. To resume it, you just do that. And then you have your AC and recirculate. The reason AC and recirculate are next to each other is because in the hot weather, you definitely want to use recirculate with the AC because it's going to keep cooling air that's already cold. Now, say it's modest weather, but you're going you're going in a bridge or you're behind a garbage truck. You don't necessarily need AC. You can do only recirculate if you want to, but it's not going to cool the air. I don't recommend recirculate for very long in the cold weather because you might start to fog up. But you always want to pair these, and most of the time the computer will recognize to pair these both when the temperature you want is more on the cool side. Above the climate control, you have the hazards. Great for communicating. This button does not light up. You just push it and you'll see the little two lights here. So if you're going a little slower than normal or you're stopped, that's great there. And the floor mat locks on the passenger side as well, which is great. The glove box is lockable with the slide out key that comes out of the key fob. So when you push this little lever down, you can slide out your key, which means if the key fob dies, you can get inside the driver door with this. And then you hold the dead key fob right up to the push button starter while you push the brake and it'll start up. Or you can also lock the glove box with this, and you can also lock the tailgate with this. Some of the Tacomas come with an actual turn key that's just like this, but say you forgot it or you're not using it or you don't like to carry it with you, it's on you at all times with the key fob, and it's pretty easy to put right back in there like that, and in it goes. Working our way up, both mirrors have the little LED lights, or no, I'm sorry, not LEDs, the little yellow incandescent candle lights that we didn't get yet because they did it on the RAV4. The auto dimming mirror has a green light here. This means that it's on. That's the light sensor. So what the auto dimming mirror does is it gets dark when it senses light from behind you. So it does it on its own. It gives you the option to turn it off if you want to. I'm not sure why you would ever want to do that, but it gives you the option. And that's a great feature to have, not a must. The other ones are just a little flip switch, and you have your compass here as well. So if you have the upgraded truck with the navigation, you'll have the ability to see your compass on the MID. But if you don't have that, and you have a sport or an off-road, you'll still get your compass here. Give that a quick push, and you have a soft lining for your glasses. You can put them lenses in and grab them by the little arms. When you buy the truck new, you get 1 year complimentary of Safety Connect, which can save your life. Make sure you download the Toyota app and register your vehicle, and then controls for the interior lights. That's going to be on now, on only with the doors, and never comes on. And then you can power them individually as well. And this does light up at night, which is nice. Toyota, if you're listening to this, please do this on the Corollas for their overhead lights. Lastly, onto the screen. So for the screen, you have these 2 knobs here with 4 buttons above each knob. The more important buttons are going to be closer to the driver. So these are buttons that you're going to use more often. So I'm going to start from the right on this one. So I have the tune and scroll here for the radio. I have my apps. There's not a whole lot going on here. If you have some upgrades, it's going to show you your remote connect. You can initialize your remote connect. It's a slow phase out of the N-Tune system that Toyota used. We're phasing into Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which are going to be your primary way of doing things. So there will only be some very basic apps here that you're only going to really use once. Your notifications app through Toyota is there. It's okay, it's semi-useful, but you're going to get most of your notifications through the Toyota app anyway. But if you have Remote Connect, your Remote Connect initialization app is going to be right in the apps page, so that you can start your Remote Connect and communicate the truck to the app. And then once you get that set up, you're good to go. When you go to phone and you push the phone button, it's going to prompt you to connect the phone to Bluetooth. Once you're connected, when you push the phone button, it's going to show you the phone menu with your favorites, your contacts, your call history, etc. You can also access the phone menu by hitting the phone button here. So we don't want to pair a phone right now. On the right, I also have Seek and Track for the radio. So notice, not super important buttons here, semi-useful. Passenger can use that, whatever. Your most important buttons, see, just like I mentioned, Remote Connect authorization, your Wi-Fi trial, and your Toyota notifications. But on the left, I have some much more useful buttons. So if the truck has the integrated navigation, it's going to activate when I push map. That's the Toyota in-house navigation. But if it doesn't have it, don't worry. All the new trucks come with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which I can access the map by pushing that, and it'll show Waze, Google Maps, Apple Maps, etc. So don't worry about this little warning here. That doesn't mean much. When I hit audio, this is where I can access the radio source. I can turn it on and off by pushing this and power the volume, which I mentioned. I can also change the volume here. But once I hit audio, I can change the source. So say I'm in the mood to go to FM now, I can just hit FM. I can go to my Sirius, which the new trucks come with 90 days. I can reorder these apps, I can initialize the Bluetooth, and then the truck's gonna memorize where your last source was, and it's gonna do that on the next time that you do it. Menu is where I'm gonna spend a decent amount of time throughout the ownership of the truck, because this is where I can customize some settings. Now, menu helps me access some things that I've already been to, so we're gonna skip those, but I can see some information here, like my gas economy, which, like we talked about, the truck is not exactly made to have the best economy. It's more of a tool, but if you're curious, it's right there, and you can see your history. You can even clear it. And then your alert. Now back to home, menu, setup and display. So display is a big one. So you can hit menu, display, screen off. I can still listen to music and keep the screen off, and I'm as happy as can be. Push any button to activate the screen again. And also in your display, I can adjust my brightness and my contrast, which I don't really recommend too much unless the screen's a little too bright. But the screen can dim down a little bit. The way to dim it down is, not only does this little stock do your odometer and your trip. But if you twist it, see that little symbol right here with the speedometer and the little light symbol? By twisting the stalk, I can actually change the brightness to the gauges on the screen right there. If you want more of a powerful adjustment to the brightness of the screen, then I definitely want to get in there and I can turn the brightness down right there. I turned mine down a couple notches on my truck. But the screen off is really cool because you can listen to music with the screen off at night if this is a little distracting for you. In setup, I'll keep this as simple as possible. You have one pillar here, you have another pillar here. So starting here, I can set up some basic settings to these. I can even change the truck so that it recognizes my voice right here. I can change the voice volume. I can go back to default. And if I go down, you'll like this, vehicle setup. I can change the door lock settings so that when I put it in park, the doors don't unlock, which I would turn off the automatic door unlock. Say I want the doors to definitely unlock when I put it in park, I would turn it back on. I can even change the lights when I unlock it, turn them on and off, and I can change the volume to the beep. So say I want it to be not as loud when I hit the clicker, or I want it to be a dot louder. I turned mine down on my truck for a little bit. It was too low, so I turned it back up. But that's kind of cool. Say you don't want to disturb people or you want to be a little more incognito. There's some really nice customization here, which you want to look into. Climate settings, I can turn the auto AC on and off. I think auto AC is important to have because then the truck will guess when you're putting the air conditioner on. But if you live in a cold area, maybe you don't care about that. And then your light settings, another nice feature. I can control the sensitivity to the auto headlights. Say I want them to come on a little earlier. I can change the auto off timer. So that's when the headlights stay on when you turn off the truck to light up your driveway. I can actually set them to stay on a little bit longer or even a whole minute and a half. Say have a longer walk. You turn the truck off, you lock it once, the headlights stay on. They can stay on for 90 seconds. If you do hit that lock button again on the clicker though, it'll cancel the headlights completely. I can even turn off the daytime running lights, but here's the thing, I don't see the point of this because you have full control of the daytime running lights right over here. So if you want them off, you would just do that. But say you like to use the auto lights for them to come on at night, but you don't want daytime running lights during the day, that's why you would use this. But as somebody who's motorcycled for years, and I'm very big into safety and visibility, I do not recommend turning off the daytime running lights. It is so not worth trying to preserve your headlights or your bulbs. Not worth it. You want to be seen. And then lastly, when you shut the truck off, the interior lights will come on as long as you have this set to here. If you have it off, they will not come on. But if you leave it here, when you turn off the truck, your overhead lights will come on, and you can set it so they stay on for 30 seconds. I wish we had a 60-second option because I take a few minutes to get my stuff together, but at least you can change it here. And then a couple other things in setup. We did the vehicle customization. Here's where you can start your Wi-Fi and access your apps on the right pillar. So before we even dive in, say you're so new and you're just not familiar with this new technology and you're like, what screen am I even in? You know you're in the setup screen because it says setup here. So now I know I'm in the home screen because it says home. Now I know I'm in the audio screen because it says select audio. So at a glance, you can see where you're at. That's where I change the clock. So I go to menu, setup, and my clock is right there. Super simple. I can change my language, projection settings for the Apple CarPlay. I can even customize the home screen and change what it looks like, which home screen is next. It's the last thing we're gonna do. I can turn the beep on and off to say I don't like the beep, or I can turn it back on. And I can even change the theme setting. I think Toyota could have done a little bit more for this. I think more color should have been available, but check this out. I can make it look a little more sporty, or say I have a hard time seeing with the dark, I can make it a little brighter. So that's nice. But I think some mountains in the background would have been cool, but look at me being fancy. I mean, it is a Toyota. These are some more advanced settings here, which I don't recommend changing. And then this is just where you can check for your software update. The rest of this is kind of for the techs if they're gonna do stuff on here. Trying to keep it simple. Lastly, the home screen. So this is where you can see different information all at once. When your phone's connected, if you have the phone widget, there'll be 4 little slots where you can press and hold to save somebody's name and number, and by tapping their name, it creates an instant phone call. So you don't have to hit the phone button here or on the steering wheel to initialize the phone menu to then find them and click them. So instead of a 3-click process to find somebody and call them, it's a 1-click instant call. Then this will show you the song that's playing right over here. And then this just so happens to be the gas mileage, which with the price of gas these days, it's June 2022. You might want to leave that there just so you can check yourself and make sure you're not romping on it and getting 14 miles a gallon. Like I said in the review video of the truck, if you go easy on this truck, and I own one of these trucks, an off-road edition, if you go easy on it and you're not driving up a ton of hills, you can get low to mid-20s. So if you want to keep a check on that, that's a nice thing to see there. And you just tap it and it'll dive right into that menu. Say I tap this, it'll dive right into the audio menu. And then if I tap that, well, my phone's not connected, but it'll start calling the person. So that's the breakdown of the screen. We did the climate control. We did the 4-wheel drive. Defrosting mirrors are right by the climate control. Buttons by the shifter, the shifting process. We also did all the buttons on the steering wheel. Went over the Speedo Cluster and the operation of the MID. Went over some of the overhead features, pretty much everything up top, and then things down below. I think that closes up the video. Let me know if this helped you. If you're getting a new Tacoma, congratulations. Let's hope and pray that the gas prices improve in time. If you're using it as a tool and you're not worried about the gas prices, well, ultra good for you, because this makes a great tool. And more importantly, let me know if this video was useful, and let me know if I missed something you wanted to go over. And you know you can always find me down below in the comments. But please do me a favor, if the video was helpful to you, give it a like, share it with somebody that might benefit, and consider subscribing for future content. Thanks again, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.